to invite His Excellency Shri Akhilesh Mishra, Indian Ambassador to Ireland, to kindly address the gathering. Ambassador Akhilesh Mishra arrived in Dublin on 6th October 2021. Mishra ji is a career diplomat. He belongs to the Indian Foreign Service and has over 3 decades of rich experience in the entire gamut of Indian diplomacy, covering political, security, and geostrategic affairs, economic and commercial, investment and technology issues, education, research and innovation, cultural and soft power engagements, Indian diaspora and India's development partnership with other countries. Ambassador Mishra belongs to Varanasi, one of the holiest, most ancient historical and cultural living cities in India. He speaks Spanish, Italian, and Nepalese and knows among Indian languages, Hindi and Sanskrit, besides English. Besides international affairs, Ambassador Mishra has keen interest in Indian culture, especially Sanskrit, Vedic, and classical literature, Hindi and Urdu poetry, spirituality, yoga, and meditation. It's our esteemed pleasure and honor to have you here, sir. Namaste. A warm welcome to you.
Namaskar. Very warm greetings from the Indian Embassy in Dublin. Friends, let me begin by thanking Swami Shantivrtanand ji and Swami Purnanand ji of Éire Vedanta Society, Dublin, for so kindly hosting this event at a very short notice at the request of the Indian Embassy. My special welcome to Swami Bodhmayanand ji and also Swami Shuddhidanand ji for joining this program for India and giving us very inspiring messages. Today, we are celebrating National Youth Day on the occasion of birth anniversary of Swami Vivekanand ji. As we all know that his lifespan was very short physically, just about 39 years. And he was just 30 years when he delivered his historic, mesmerizing speech at the World Parliament of Religions in Chicago in 1893. So he remains an ever-inspiring, ever-fresh, youthful face of modern India, an embodiment of the spiritual, intellectual, moral power of the Indian youth icon. Vivekanand ji was a truly exceptional, outstanding, multifaceted personality. He was a yogi, a spiritual guide, visionary thinker and philosopher, erudite scholar and researcher, charismatic orator and debater, a linguist, social reformer, and a staunch patriot and nationalist, Deshbhakt. Though as a sannyasi, he was detached and non-discriminatory in showering his love and kindness and compassion and wisdom to all human race. Vedanta was, as we have heard, that Vedanta was the fountainhead of the driving and guiding force of Swamiji's life, his mission and his message. To a layman like me, the essence of Vedic Vedantic wisdom is like 4 points. The first is the knowledge, conviction of an ultimate reality, which is single, supreme, infinite, omnipresent, omnipotent Brahman, which is pervading and sustaining the entire creation, within and without. Anu raniyan mahato mahiyan, yasmat param na paramaste kinchit, yasman naniyo na jayoste kinchit. So this means there is a fundamental unity, a web-like interconnectedness, not only in the entire human existence, but the entire cosmic creation. The second aspect is that because we are all part of an infinite power, infinite entity, infinite being, and parts of infinite are also infinite. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. So there is again a fundamental equality, not only among all human beings, but not only among all living beings, but in fact a kind of sovereign equality covering the entire cosmic creation. The third aspect is that realization of this truth of oneself being part of the same single infinitude of Sat Chit and Anand Sarup Brahma means end of all suffering and all misery, and reaching the state of lasting happiness, joy, peace, and infinite consciousness and energy. Fourth and most important point is that this knowledge, this self-realization, this ultimate truth is not handed over in a spoon or like a miracle through a divine revelation, but only through individual sadhana, tap, dhyan. Only with one's own efforts, one and potentially everyone can see the ultimate truth. Rishayaha mantra drashtaraha. Rishis had not received divine revelation. They had worked for it to see and realize the truth, the ultimate reality. At a one level, conceptual level, Vedanta naturally is quite esoteric, quite intellectual, and deeply spiritual in terms of its analysis. But I think the genius, the extraordinary genius of Vivekananda Swamiji lied in distilling the essence of the entire Vedic Upanishadic literature and thoughts and converting it into a life force to guide the contemporary human being, the contemporary society, the India of that day, and the entire world. Let me touch upon his profoundly significant message at the Parliament of Religions in 1989. The opening words, sisters and brothers of America, that itself to me is a very, very bold declaration of Vedantic philosophy. And we must, like, I feel shivers when I think of the courage that 30-year-old Vivekananda would have had to utter those words, because in 1893, the morale of the country was abysmally low. The War of Independence of 1857 had been brutally suppressed, and British had taken direct rule of India and indulging in vicious machinations to divide India into plethora of principalities and princely states. Vast majority of people of India were steeped in poverty and ignorance and superstition. Hinduism was worldwide scorned as something vulgar, something barbaric, uncivilized, and uncouth. Mahatma Gandhi had, like Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, that time had left India for South Africa in April 1893. Indian National Congress had just been established and was mostly busy in writing occasional petitions. The revolutionaries had not come on the scene. The entire Europe and the developed world, Western world, was bristling with racism and racial superiority. And Indians had to face indignity of being treated like dogs. And we had seen labels and boards in many countries, Indians and dogs are not allowed. So think of the courage, think of the boldness in saying sisters and brothers of America. This naturally sends to me an unmistakable, loud message of equality. There's no hint, no inkling of inferiority or any complex coming from a country which is savagely devastated by poverty and ignorance and superstition, and colonized. Also, it is significant that there's no hint of malice or hatred towards anyone. In a Christian country where he was himself and Hindus in general were ridiculed very, very badly, but treating them as sisters and brothers. Third aspect I wish to highlight is that it was sisters and brothers of America, not brothers and sisters as we are used to using now or would have been thinking about earlier. This putting sisters ahead of brothers has a profoundly significant message of respect, not only gender equality, but superiority of women folk. This was particularly significant, that would have been extremely extraordinary in a highly commercialized, sexualized society where human body was objectified for business promotion. And also it is important to remember that in 1893, there was only one country, New Zealand, which gave women voting rights. The voting rights came to women in US in 1920. It is only the Vedantic philosophy which does not ascribe this ultimate supreme being a specific gender. It's not exclusively masculine domain to claim divinity. Naivastri no pumanasi na chaivayam napunsakaha yat yat shariram adatte tena sa yujyate. And that was reflected in the opening words of Vivekananda. Similarly, his discourse of 1893 in Chicago was an eloquent messaging of the intellectual, spiritual, and civilizational ethos of India, and how it meant great deal of pride for him as inheritors of this heritage. Proud to belong to a religion which has taught the world both tolerance and universal acceptance. We believe not only in universal toleration, but we accept all religions as true. Different paths to reach the same destination. Ruchinam vaichitryat riju kutila nana pathajusham nrinameko gamyastomasi payasa marana vaiva. Again, echoing the Vedantic philosophy about the reality of underlying fundamental unity and web-like interconnectedness in the entire universe, pervaded and woven together by the same supreme force, Swamiji declared that religious unity will not come by triumph of any one of the religions and destruction of the others. He envisaged harmony of religions based on unity in diversity, not on uniformity. And he declared also that there is no polytheism in India, nor henotheism can describe the situation prevailing in India, because different images were only various attributes of the same single omnipresent one supreme power. Ekam sad vipra bahudha vadanti. Ya eko avarano bahudha shakti yogat varanan anekan nihitartho dadhati. Nana rupa vidhata tvam bhaktanam dhyana hetave yeshu rupeshu yat pritihi tat rupam vibhashicha. Similarly, as Swamiji mentioned earlier, that for him, Vedanta philosophy was also about patriotism and nationalism and feeling about people of India. And his relevance for India of today is also because his exhortation to national awakening, how he galvanized people to think of a national regeneration, national rejuvenation. Rastram va Ashwamedha. And he gave very clear-cut action plan, roadmap, how India can be revived and Indian glory can be revived and Indian people can regain the glory and wisdom and respect that India deserves. The first was that he called for action, called for individuals' action. You have to grow from inside out. None can teach you. None can make you spiritual. There is no other teacher but you, but your own soul. Take up one idea. Make that one idea your life. Think of it, dream of it, live on that idea. Kritam me dakshine hasto, jayo me savya ahitah. Stand up, be bold, and take the blame on your own shoulders. Do not go about throwing mud at others. For all the faults that you suffer from you are the sole and only cause. Second message was of self-belief, an outright rejection of sense of helplessness, dejection, despondency, and sense of being weak. Nayanatma balahinena labhyaha. You can't believe in God until you believe in yourself. All the power is within you. You can do anything and everything. Yasha Indro, Yasha Agni, Yasha Somo Ajayata, Yasha Vishwasya Bhutasya Ahamasmi, Yashastamaha. There are glorious divinities like Indra or Agni and Soma, but I am the most glorious of all. If you are really my children, he said, you will fear nothing. Stop at nothing. You will be like lions. Greatest sin is to think that you are weak. Yavan vai ayam akashah, tavan esha hridaya akashah, asmin antah eva ubhe dyava prithvi. This vast sky is also within me. Within myself are both the vast earth and this expansive sky. All the powers in the universe are already ours. It is we who have put our hands before our eyes and cry that it is dark. The third message, which I feel very, very inspired by, is his stress on knowing India's past, our past leaders and great men of ancient times, and belief that India's strength lies in spirituality. The fourth aspect is his constant messaging about being constructive, build, not destroy. Be constructive, be positive, and shed all negativity. Fifth is about his constant messaging about social equity and inclusion in growth and development, elevating the masses. That which is selfish is immoral, and that which is unselfish is moral. Sixth is his very, very unique, very inspiring notion of patriotism. Patriotism and nationalism for him meant concern for fellow Indians. He said, I believe in patriotism and I also have my own ideal of patriotism. Do you feel that millions and millions of the descendants of gods and sages have become next door neighbors to brutes? Do you feel that millions are starving today and millions have been starving for ages? Do you feel that ignorance has come over the land as a dark cloud? Does it make you restless? Does it make you sleepless? That is the first step to become a patriot. The very first step. The seventh aspect is that patriotism for him meant self-help. You must not depend on any foreign help. Nations, like individuals, must help themselves. This is real patriotism. Friends, today, when we are in the midst of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav celebration, 75 years of India's independence, we can see with great pride that all the 7 points of Swamiji's message, which I initiated and touched upon, are reflected in the plan of action and vision of our great Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. His mission of transforming India and developing India, not through trickle-down effect, but building from bottom up. And the vision of inclusive growth and giving empowerment and skills and dignity to the bottommost of the socio-economic pyramid. And his call for Atma Bharat, Atma Nirbhar Bharat reflect the vision and message of Swamiji. And that is the real tribute to a great leader, the youth icon. His energy should galvanize us into action. There's so much to do for our country, and we all have to take that ownership of our duty. As Vivekananda said, arise, awake, stop not until the goal is achieved. Uttishtat, Jagrat, Prapya Varan Nibodhat. And if in the spirit of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas, 135, 140 crore people work together, nothing can stop us. And we will attain the dignity, the great pride, the glory that our country, our ancient civilization deserves. Thank you so much for hosting this event. Thank you so much. My good wishes to all the listeners.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Akhilesh Mishra ji. Thank you for your valuable words, inspiring Sanskrit verses and anecdotes, and for sharing your in-depth knowledge on Vedanta, spirituality, patriotism, and Indian history, sir. We at Éire Vedanta Society are indeed honored to have you here today.